Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan, born Temujin around 1162 and dying on 25 August 1227, founded and led the Mongol Empire from 1206 until his death. Under his leadership, the empire expanded to become the largest contiguous empire in history. His early life was marked by hardship, including his father's death when he was 8 and subsequent abandonment by his tribe. Temujin overcame these challenges, even killing his half-brother Better to secure his position. He forged alliances with steppe leaders Jamuka and Togrul, but eventually fell out with both. After a defeat around 1187 and a period under the Jin dynasty's dominance, he re-emerged in 1196, gaining power rapidly. By 1203, after defeating Togrul and the Naiman tribe and executing Jamuka, he became the sole ruler of the Mongolian steppe. Assuming the title Genghis Khan in 1206, he initiated reforms to integrate the Mongol tribes into a meritocratic empire dedicated to his ruling family. He expanded his empire through military campaigns, including against the Western Xia and Jin dynasty, and led expeditions into Central Asia and the Khwarezmian Empire, causing widespread destruction, but also promoting cultural and commercial exchange. Genghis Khan's legacy is mixed. Viewed as a generous leader and a ruthless conqueror, he is credited with welcoming diverse advice and believing in his divine right to rule the world. His conquests led to millions of deaths, but also facilitated unprecedented cultural exchange. While regarded as a savage tyrant in Russia and the Muslim world, Western scholarship has recently reassessed his legacy more favorably. In Mongolia, he is revered as the nation's founding father and was posthumously deified. Birth and early life of Genghis Khan. The year of Temujin's birth is disputed, as historians favor different dates, 1155, 1162, or 1167. Some traditions place his birth in the year of the pig, which was either 1155 or 1167. While a dating to 1155 is supported by the writings of both Zhao Hong and Rashid al-Din, other major sources, such as the History of Yuan and the Sheng Wu, favor the year 1162. The 1167 dating, favored by Paul Pelliot, is derived from a minor source, a text of the Yuan artist Yang Weijin, but is more compatible with the events of Genghis Khan's life than a 1155 placement, which implies that he did not have children until after the age of 30 and continued actively campaigning into his 7th decade. 1162 remains the most accepted date. The historian Paul Rachnevsky notes that Temujin himself may not have known the truth. The location of Temujin's birth is similarly debated. The secret history records his birthplace as Dalun Bulldog on the Onon River, but this has been placed at either Dadal in Khenti province or in southern Agin Buryat Okrug, Russia. Temujin was born into the Borjigin clan of the Mongol tribe to Yesugei, a chieftain who claimed descent from the legendary warlord Bodenchar Mungkog, and his principal wife, Hoelun, originally of the Olkonud clan, whom Yesugei had abducted from her Merkit bridegroom Chiledu. The origin of his birth name is contested. The earliest traditions hold that his father had just returned from a successful campaign against the Tatars with a captive named Temuchin Uge, after whom he named the newborn in celebration of his victory, while later traditions highlight the root Temur, meaning iron, and connect to theories that Temujin means blacksmith. Yesugei and Hoelun had 3 younger sons after Temujin, Kasar, Hachiun, and Temuge, as well as 1 daughter, Temulin. Temujin also had 2 half-brothers, Beter and Belgute, from Yesugei's second wife Sochigul, whose identity is uncertain. The siblings grew up at Yesugei's main camp on the banks of the Onon, where they learned how to ride a horse and shoot a bow. When Temujin was 8 years old, Yesugei decided to betroth him to a suitable girl. He took his heir to the pastures of Hoelun's prestigious Ongirat tribe, which had intermarried with the Mongols on many previous occasions. There he arranged a betrothal between Temujin and Berte, the daughter of an Ongirat chieftain named De Sechen. As the betrothal meant Yesugei would gain a powerful ally, and as Berta commanded a high bride price, De Sechen held the stronger negotiating position and demanded that Temujin remain in his household to work off his future debt. Accepting this condition, Yesugei requested a meal from a band of Tatars he encountered while riding homewards alone, relying on the steppe tradition of hospitality to strangers. However, the Tatars recognized their old enemy and slipped poison into his food. Yesugei gradually sickened, but managed to return home. Close to death, he requested a trusted retainer called Munglig to retrieve Temujin from the Ongirat. He died soon after. At age 8, Temujin was betrothed by his father Yesugei to Berte, daughter of Ongirat chieftain De Sechen, to secure an alliance through marriage. This union necessitated Temujin to stay with the Ongirats, fulfilling obligations towards his future bride's family. On his return journey, Yesugei, poisoned by Tatars he encountered, barely made it home before succumbing to the poison. Before dying, he arranged for Temujin's retrieval from the Ongirats through a loyal retainer, Munglig. Formative years of Genghis Khan. Following Yesugei's death, his family, led by the young Temujin and his mother Hoelun, faced abandonment by their clan, the Borjigin, and their allies, due to Temujin's and his brother Bader's young ages. Despite some sources suggesting familial support, the majority depict Hoelun's family as outcast, leading to a difficult hunter-gatherer existence. Tensions over inheritance and leadership between Temujin and Bader escalated, culminating in Bader's death by Temujin and his brother Kasar. Temujin formed a pivotal friendship with Jamuka, a boy of noble birth, at the age of 11. They solidified their bond by exchanging gifts and swearing the Anda Pact, a Mongol tradition signifying blood brotherhood. During this period of vulnerability, Temujin faced several captures. He escaped from the Taichiuds with the help of Sorkin Shira, who sheltered him, and later Boorchu, who assisted him in a crucial moment and became his first nokor, showcasing Temujin's emerging leadership and charisma. Marriage with Berta. At 15, Temujin, Genghis, married Berta with De Sechen, her father, warmly welcoming him and presenting the couple with gifts, including an expensive sable cloak for Hoelun. Seeking support, Temujin allied with Togrul, Khan of the Karaite tribe, by gifting him the sable cloak, securing his protection, and beginning to build his own following, with figures like Jelme joining his ranks. During this period, Temujin and Berte welcomed their first child, a daughter named Kojin. In retaliation for Yesugei's earlier abduction of Hoelun, around 300 Merkits attacked Temujin's camp, abducting Berta and Xochitl. Berta was forced into marriage according to Levirate law. Temujin sought help from Togrul and his blood brother Jamuka, now a tribal chief, who assembled an army of 20,000 warriors. They successfully rescued Berta, who was pregnant and later gave birth to Jochi, whose paternity was questioned but was raised by Temujin as his own. Over the following years, Temujin and Berta had 3 more sons, Chagatai, Ogedei, and Tolui, and 4 daughters, underlining the family's growing prominence. Temujin elected Khan of the Mongols. After camping together for a year and a half and reinforcing their Anda Pact, tensions between Temujin and Jamuka led to their separation, possibly influenced by Berta's ambitions. While Jamuka retained the support of major tribal rulers, Temujin attracted 41 leaders and numerous followers, including notable figures like Subutai from various tribes. Temujin's followers declared him Khan of the Mongols, pleasing Togrul but inciting Jamuka's resentment. This tension led to a battle at Dalan Baljut around 1187, where Temujin faced defeat against Jamuka's forces, despite conflicting accounts from later historians like Rashid al-Din, who suggest Temujin emerged victorious. Battle of Dalan Baljut. The Battle of Dalan Baljut in 1187 marked a pivotal conflict between Temujin, future Genghis Khan, and his once close friend Jamuka. Diverging political ideologies, Jamuka's support for traditional Mongol aristocracy versus Temujin's preference for meritocracy, fueled their separation. Despite Temujin's broad support base, successful campaigns, and being declared Khan in 1186, Jamuka's attack with 30,000 troops led to Temujin's defeat and his subsequent disappearance for a decade. Jamuka's harsh treatment of captives post-battle, including boiling 70 youths alive, repelled potential allies. Following the Battle of Dalan Baljut, historians Rachnevsky and Timothy May suggest Temujin likely served the Jurchen Jin dynasty in North China for a significant period, a claim supported by Zhao Hong's records of Temujin's enslavement by the Jin. This notion, once dismissed as nationalistic exaggeration, is now considered plausible, filling a gap in Temujin's known activities up to around 1195. His successful return with considerable power hints at a beneficial period with the Jin, despite the episode's absence from Mongol historical accounts, likely due to its potential to tarnish Mongol prestige. Return of Temujin. In early summer 1196, Temujin's return to the steppe saw him joining forces with the Jin dynasty against the Tatars, who opposed Jin interests. For his contributions, the Jin honored him with the title Cha'ut Kuri, akin to Commander of Hundreds in Yurchen. Concurrently, he aided Togrul in regaining control over the Karaite, challenging a usurpation backed by the Naiman tribe. These actions in 1196 notably elevated Temujin's status from Togrul's vassal to a position of equal ally, altering his influence in the steppe dynamics. In the years leading up to 1201, Temujin and Togrul waged campaigns against the Merkits, Naimans, and Tatars, both jointly and separately. Discontented tribes, including the Ongirat, Taichiud, and Tatars, united under Jamuka as their leader, seeking to end the Borjigin Karaite dominance. However, Temujin and Togrul decisively defeated this coalition at Yedikunan, forcing Jamuka to seek Togrul's mercy. Aiming for total control over eastern Mongolia, Temujin conquered the Taichiud and the Tatars by 1202, executing their leaders and integrating their fighters into his forces. Notable among his new warriors were Sorkin Shira, a previous ally, and Jabi, a young warrior who earned Temujin's respect by demonstrating bravery and skill in battle. Battle of Kalakaljit Sands. With the Tatars absorbed, the steppe's power dynamics centered around the Naimans, Mongols, and Karaites. Temujin's marriage proposal for his son Jochi to one of Togrul's daughters sparked suspicion among the Karaite elite, led by Togrul's son Sengum, viewing it as a maneuver for control, compounded by doubts about Jochi's paternity. Jamuka further highlighted Temujin's challenge to steppe aristocracy by promoting commoners, upsetting traditional hierarchies. Togrul, influenced by these concerns, planned an ambush against Temujin, which was foiled by forewarned herdsmen. Despite mobilizing some forces, Temujin faced a significant defeat at the Battle of Kalakaljid Sands. Following setbacks, Temujin retreated to Baljuna to regroup his forces. With Bo-Orchu on foot and his son Ogadei injured but aided by Borakula, Temujin rallied all allies, instituting the Baljuna Covenant. This oath of loyalty, promising exclusivity and prestige, was made by a diverse group from 9 tribes, including Christians, Muslims, and Buddhists, unified by their allegiance to Temujin. Temujin's decisive win at the Battle of Chakirmaut. Using a tactical deception led by Kasar, the Mongols unexpectedly attacked the Karaite at Jejer Heights. The battle, lasting 3 days, concluded with a significant victory for Temujin. Both Togrul and Sengum were forced into flight. Sengum fled to Tibet, while Togrul met his end at the hands of a Naiman who failed to recognize him. Temujin then integrated the Karaite leadership into his ranks, marrying Princess Ibaka, and arranging marriages of her sister Sorgagtani and niece Doks to his youngest son, Tolui. The Naiman forces, bolstered by Jamuka and others defeated by the Mongols, prepared for conflict. Informed by Alakush, ruler of the Ongud tribe, Temujin faced the Naimans in May 1204 at Chakirmaut in the Altai Mountains, where they suffered a crushing defeat. Tayang Khan was killed and his son Kuchlug fled westward. The Merkits were substantially weakened later that same year. Jamuka, having left the Naimans during Chakirmaut, was betrayed to Temujin by his own men, who were then executed for their betrayal. The secret history mentions that Jamuka requested an honorable execution from his childhood friend, while other sources claim he was dismembered. Western Xia submits to the Mongol Empire. From 1204 to 1209, Genghis Khan expanded Mongol influence. He sent Joki north in 1207 to conquer tribes in Siberia, gaining access to valuable resources like grain, furs, and gold by marrying into the Oirats and defeating the Yenisei Kyrgyz. The Mongols also moved west, overcoming a Naiman-Merkit coalition and securing Uyghur allegiance, marking the Mongols' first submission from a settled society. Genghis began attacking the Western Xia kingdom in 1205, partly to retaliate against their sheltering of Sengum and to boost the Mongol economy through raids. The Xia's weak northern defenses led to Mongol victories, including capturing the fortress of Wulahai in 1207. In 1209, Genghis personally led an invasion, capturing Wulahai again and advancing on the Xia capital. Despite initial setbacks and a failed siege due to inadequate equipment, Genghis managed a tactical retreat that tricked the Xia into a vulnerable position, leading to their defeat. The siege of the Xia capital stalled due to the Mongols' lack of siege technology, and a failed attempt to flood the city led to a Mongol retreat after the dam broke. Eventually, peace was made with the Xia submitting to Mongol rule in exchange for stopping the attacks, with the Xia emperor sending tribute, including his daughter, to Genghis. Genghis Khan of the Mongol Empire. In 1206, at a grand assembly by the Onon River, Temujin was proclaimed Genghis Khan, a title with debated origins. Some say it signifies strength or universal rule, while others argue it meant little more than a break from traditional titles. Now ruling over 1 million people, Genghis Khan initiated a social overhaul to dismantle tribal loyalties, favoring allegiance solely to him and his family, thus forming a centralized state. Traditional tribal leaders were mostly gone, allowing Genghis to elevate his family as the Golden Family atop the social structure, with a new aristocracy and loyal families beneath. Genghis restructured Mongol society into a military decimal system, drafting men aged 15 to 70 into units of 1,000, further divided into hundreds and tens. This structure also incorporated families, effectively blending military and societal functions to ensure loyalty directly to Genghis and prevent tribal uprisings. Senior commanders, or Nukad, like Boorchu and Mukali, were appointed significant military roles, showcasing Genghis's meritocratic approach. Even those from humble origins were given command, demonstrating Genghis's emphasis on loyalty and merit over birthright. Some commanders were allowed to maintain their tribal identities, a concession for their loyalty. Additionally, the expansion of the Keshig, the Khan's bodyguard, played a crucial role. Initially a small guard, its numbers swelled to 10,000, serving various roles from personal protection to administration and acting as a training ground for future leaders. This elite group enjoyed privileges and direct access to Genghis Khan, securing their loyalty and grooming them for higher command. Mongol campaign against the Jin. In 1209, Wanyan Yongji usurped the Jin throne. He had previously served on the steppe frontier, and Genghis greatly disliked him. When Yongji demanded tribute in 1210, Genghis openly defied him, setting the stage for war. Despite the possibility of being outnumbered 8-1 by 600,000 Jin soldiers, Genghis had made preparations for an invasion since 1206, due to Jin vulnerabilities. Genghis had two aims: to take vengeance for past wrongs committed by the Jin, foremost among which was the death of Genghis Khan in the mid-12th century, and to win the vast amounts of plunder his troops and vassals expected. In March 1211, after organizing a Kurultai, Genghis Khan initiated his invasion of Jin China, swiftly reaching and bypassing the Jin's border defenses with help from the Ongud tribe in June. The invasion strategy focused on widespread plundering and burning to undercut Jin resources and legitimacy while aiming to control strategic mountain passes for further advances. The Jin faced significant territorial losses and a wave of defections, notably contributing to Mukhali's significant victory at Huan'erzui in late 1211. However, the campaign paused in 1212 due to Genghis being injured by an arrow during the siege of Sijing. This setback led him to establish a specialized siege engineering unit, incorporating 500 Jin specialists to enhance his military capabilities. By 1213, the Mongols overcame the strengthened Juyong Pass defenses, led by Jebe, creating a pathway to Zhongdu, now Beijing. The Jin's political structure weakened significantly when the Khitans rebelled, and Hu Shahu, the military leader in Xijing, executed a coup, killing Yongji and installing Xuanzong as a puppet leader. Despite their initial success, Genghis's army faced setbacks, including disease and food shortages, leading to dire conditions and peace negotiations. Genghis managed to extract substantial tribute from the Jin, including horses, slaves, a princess, and valuable goods, then retreated in May 1214. After the northern Jin regions were devastated, Xuanzong relocated the capital to Kaifeng, a move Genghis Khan viewed as a breach of their peace treaty, prompting him to plan another attack on Zhongdu. Historian Christopher Atwood notes that this decision marked Genghis's commitment to conquer northern China. Throughout the winter of 1214-15, Mukhali successfully took over many towns, leading to Zhongdu's surrender in May 1215, though the city faced looting. Genghis returned to Mongolia in 1216, leaving Mukhali to oversee operations in China, where he continued to challenge the Jin until his death in 1223. Mongols take Beijing. The Battle of Zhongdu, present-day Beijing, was a battle in 1215 between the Mongols and the Jurchen Jin dynasty, which controlled northern China. The Mongols won and continued their conquest of China. The battle for Beijing was long and tiresome, but the Mongols proved to be more powerful as they finally took the city on 1st June 1215, massacring its inhabitants. This forced Jin Emperor Xuanzong to move his capital south to Kaifeng and opened the Yellow River Valley to further Mongol ravages. Kaifeng also fell to the Mongols after a siege in 1232, conquest of the Kara Kitai. After Genghis Khan's victory over the Naimans in 1204, the Naiman prince Kuchlug sought refuge with the Kara Kitai. Welcomed by Gurkhan Yelujilugu, Kuchlug eventually seized power through a coup, ruling indirectly until Jilugu's death in 1213, then taking direct control. Initially a Nestorian Christian, Kuchlug converted to Buddhism upon his rise among the Kara Kitai and initiated religious persecutions against the Muslim majority, which led to widespread discontent. In 1218, to counter Kuchlug's growing threat, Genghis Khan dispatched General Jibi with 20,000 troops, including Genghis Khan's son-in-law, the Uyghur Barchuk, and possibly Arslan Khan, to confront Kuchlug, while Subutai led another force against the Merkits. The Mongol forces advanced through the mountains to Al-Malik, with Subutai splitting off to target the Merkits. Jebe then moved to attack the Kara Kitai, defeating a large army at Balasagun and causing Kuchlug to flee to Kashgar. Jebe's announcement ending religious persecution won him local support, leading to a revolt against Kuchlug in Kashgar. Kuchlug fled, but was captured by hunters and executed by the Mongols. The Mongol victory over Kuchlug solidified their control over the Kara-Khitai territory, extending their influence in Central Asia and setting the stage for further conflicts with the neighboring Khwarezm Empire. Mongol invasion of the Khwarezmian Empire. Genghis Khan secured control over the Eastern Silk Road and its adjacent territories, bordering the expansive Khwarezmian Empire. The halt of trade during Kuchlug's reign led to eagerness for its resumption. However, suspicions from the Khwarezmian side resulted in the massacre of a Mongol trade caravan in Otrar by Governor Inalchuk, an act that, whether directly supported or ignored by the Khwarezmian Shah Muhammad II, sparked Genghis Khan's wrath and led to a declaration of war. The Khwarezmian Empire, though large, was fragmented and poorly unified under Muhammad II, making it vulnerable to the Mongols' mobile warfare tactics. The Mongols' initial target was Otrar, which, after a prolonged siege, fell in 1220. Genghis then split his forces, directing simultaneous assaults across the region, leading to the rapid capture of key cities like Bukhara and Samarkand. Muhammad II fled, pursued by Mongol generals, until his death in 1220–21. In a remarkable display of mobility and military prowess, Mongol generals Jabi and Subutai conducted a 4,700-mile raid around the Caspian Sea, marking the Mongols' first significant interaction with Europe. Meanwhile, Genghis Khan's sons besieged and captured the Khwarezmian capital of Gurganj, with Jalal al-Din, Muhammad's successor, fleeing to India after a series of defeats. Tolui's campaign in Khorasan was notably ruthless, with the destruction of major cities like Nishapur, Merv, and Herat, cementing Genghis Khan's legacy as a merciless conqueror. Though contemporary estimates of the death toll are seen as exaggerated by modern scholars, the campaign undeniably resulted in significant demographic impacts. Battle of Parwan. Following the Mongol invasion of Khwarezm, Jalal ad-Din was forced to flee towards the Hindu Kush, where he began to muster additional troops to face the Mongols, with the arrival of over 30,000 Afghan warriors. His strength reportedly was between 30,000 and 60,000 men. Genghis Khan sent his chief justice Shikikutag to hunt down Jalal al-Din, but only gave the rookie general 30,000 troops. Shikikutag was overconfident after the continuous Mongol successes, and he quickly found himself on the back foot against the much more numerous Khwarezmian force. The battle took place in a narrow valley, which was unsuitable for the Mongol cavalry. Jalal al-Din had mounted archers, whom he ordered to dismount and fire on the Mongols. Because of the narrow terrain, the Mongols could not use their normal tactics. To deceive the Khwarezmians, Shikikutag mounted straw warriors on spare remounts, which may have spared him from a killing stroke, but he was still driven off in defeat, losing over half his army. Battle of the Indus. Jalal ad-Din positioned his army of at least 30,000 men in a defensive stance against the Mongols, placing one flank against the mountains while his other flank was covered by a river bend. The initial Mongol charge that opened the battle was beaten back. Jalal al-Din counterattacked and nearly breached the center of the Mongol army. Genghis then sent a contingent of 10,000 men around the mountain to flank Jalal ad-Din's army. With his army attacked from two directions and collapsing into chaos, Jalal al-Din fled across the Indus River. Return to China and final campaign of Genghis Khan. In 1221, Genghis Khan halted his Central Asian campaigns, initially planning to return via India, but reconsidering due to the unsuitable climate and unfavorable omens. Despite overcoming rebellions in Khorasan in 1222, the Mongols withdrew to prevent overextension, establishing the Amu Darya River as their new frontier. Genghis Khan then focused on administrative organization for the conquered territories, appointing officials known as Darugachi and Baskok to restore normalcy. He also engaged with the Taoist patriarch Changchun, granting Taoism significant privileges within the empire. The campaign's halt is often attributed to the Western Xia's failure to support the Mongols and their subsequent rebellion against Mongol control. Despite initial attempts at diplomacy, Genghis Khan prepared for war against the Western Xia upon his return to Mongolia in early 1225. The campaign began in early 1226, achieving rapid success with the capture of Karakoto and the systematic sacking of cities along the Gansu corridor. The Mongols then besieged Lingwu near the Xia capital. On 4th of December, after defeating a Xia army, Genghis Khan left the siege to his generals, moving south with Subutai to secure further territories. Mongols defeat the Kingdom of Georgia. The Mongols made their first appearance in the Georgian possessions when this latter kingdom was still in its zenith, dominating most of the Caucasus. First contact occurred early in the fall of 1220, when approximately 20,000 Mongols, led by Subutai and Jebe, pursued the ousted Shah Muhammad II of the Khwarezmian dynasty to the Caspian Sea. With the consent of Genghis Khan, the two Mongol generals proceeded west on a reconnaissance mission. They thrust into Armenia, then under Georgian authority, and defeated some 10,000 Georgians and Armenians commanded by King George IV Lasha of Georgia and his Atabeg and Amir Spasalar Ivane Mekargurdzeli at the Battle of Kunan on the Kotman River. George was severely wounded in the chest. Mongols destroy the Tangut dynasty. Though subjugated under the Mongols, the Tangut dynasty of Xixia refuses to lend military support to the campaign against the Khwarezm dynasty, instead going into open rebellion. After defeating the Khwarezms, Genghis Khan immediately takes his army back to Xixia and begins a string of victories over the Tanguts. After victory, he orders the execution of the Tanguts, thereby putting an end to their dynasty. Genghis ordered his generals to systematically destroy cities and garrisons as they went. Death of Genghis Khan. In the winter of 1226-27, Genghis Khan fell from his horse while hunting and became increasingly sick. His illness slowed the progress of a siege against Xia. Despite advice to return home and recover, he insisted on continuing. Genghis died on August 25, 1227, but his death was kept secret. The Xia city, unaware of his death, fell the next month. The population suffered severe brutality, leading to the near extinction of the Xia civilization. There's speculation about how Genghis died. Some sources suggest illness like malaria or bubonic plague, while others claim he was shot by an arrow or struck by lightning. After his death, Genghis was buried near Burkhan Khaldun Peak in the Khenti Mountains, a site he had chosen earlier. Details of his funeral were kept private. When his son Ogedei became Khan in 1229, the grave was honored with offerings and the sacrifice of 30 maidens. Some theories suggest he may have been buried in the Ordos region to prevent decomposition.